Maybe you've seen my sad fig tree in some of my videos. Well, today it's time to give this neglected tree a little upgrade. Today I'm doing something that is long overdue. It is time for me to transplant my brown turkey fig into a larger pot. This poor fig tree, it's doing its best. It's got these little cute leaves going on right now, and it's trying to sprout and has done so faithfully over the past several years that I've owned it. But in order for it to really thrive and start producing fruit, I need to transplant it into a larger pot so that it can not be so root bound. I'm guessing I haven't taken it out yet, so we'll see. But that way we can encourage growth. So I'm going to take you along and show you exactly how I do this. Welcome to True Freedom Permaculture, where we discuss natural living and how to have a green thumb even if you weren't born with one. So as you can see, I've got my brown turkey fig. I have the pot that I'm going to plant this into. I also have some organic potting soil, some organic fertilizer. I have some water, and I've got some newspapers. I've got a shallow container. I'll show you what this is for in a little bit here. And I also have some wood chips, which I'm going to use as mulch, but they also are going to serve another purpose, which I'm also going to show you in a second here. So first, the container itself. Now the container is already filled with a little bit of, I've got some dried leaves, and I do have some existing soil from the previous plant that was in here, but it's very clay. It's very tough, and figs really like well-draining soil. And so I need to amend this, and that is where my wood chips come in. So I'm going to take the potting soil and I'm going to mix it with these wood chips, and then that way it creates an airier soil that this fig tree is going to like. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of organic fertilizer to this. Probably recommended to wear gloves if you're going to be touching the fertilizer itself. Because this plant has been root bound for so long, I need to tease apart these roots, or else they're just going to keep growing in on one another. I have a sharp pair of shears here. Sorry if you can hear my son throwing a tantrum. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm just making some cuts along where the roots are growing, several cuts every few inches or so. And what that's going to do is, after I kind of break this up a little bit with my fingers too, it's going to encourage the roots to spread out instead of just circling back. So see how I can kind of pull the roots out a little bit? That's what we want, because now those roots are going to go whoo, whoo. Pulling from the bottom, seeing if I can loosen these up even a little bit more. It's a gentle balance because you want to tease them apart so they're loosened up, but you don't want to break all the roots either. Now, as you can see, it's too tall, so I need to take some of the dirt out that I put in here. This dirt won't go to waste because I'm going to put something else in this pot, so I'll end up using it eventually. So now that I've managed to break this up a little bit, and if you have trouble doing this, you could try just soaking this entire root ball overnight, and then that will cause the roots to loosen up. But these were already pretty moist because we do a pretty good job of keeping it regularly watered. But if I were to just set this all in here, even though I've loosened it up, it would just continue to coil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prune all of these roots back, and this will encourage new root growth, and it will be in a larger place so then it can spread out. I just got soil in my eye. That feels awesome. Okay, so here you have our root ball. So you can see it's a lot more manageable, a lot shorter, and now these roots have a new happy home to grow into. So let me go ahead and put this in the pot. You want to make sure that the pot is at least 1 inch larger all the way around than your root ball. Okay, I'm thinking that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna backfill this with my soil wood chip mixture that I have set aside. And actually I might add some of these roots in because they're not connected to anything now, so they're just going to die back and provide organic matter to the soil. I'm gonna pack it firmly, but not too hard. Okay, that looks pretty good. So what I'm aiming for is about 1 inch below where the pot starts because I have another couple layers to add. I have some newspapers here, and this is going to be like a cover because sometimes seeds will fly in, especially since we're going to be keeping it outside during the warmer months. So you could use cardboard too, but for such a small pot like this, I find that newspaper, since it's more flexible, works a little bit better. So first what I'm going to do is, because otherwise if I put it in dry like this, it's just going to wick away all the moisture, and that's not what we want to do. So I'm going to soak this in that shallow container that I showed you. Some soil in here, so I'm going to empty this out. All right, newspaper here. Just gonna pour some water over it. Okay, now that my newspaper's wet, I can go ahead and put down multiple layers all over the soil layer. You can use scissors, but I prefer to just tear it. Just make sure you don't have big holes. Make sure you overlap by a couple inches, so because if something wants to work its way through, it'll find a way if there's a tiny crack, so just don't leave it any space to do that. The other thing is I'm not putting the soaked newspaper directly up against the fig tree because that way you don't want it to like rot against it or anything like that, and you want a little bit of room, a little bit of aeration around the trunk, I guess you would call it, of the tree itself. I'm just going to pour the water in this shallow bowl on top of the newspaper. You don't have to do this, but just add a little moisture. All right, so I've got my soil, I've got my newspaper layer. Now I'm going to add a layer of wood chips to the top, and that'll be my final layer. Be generous with your wood chip layer because you don't want any parts of your cardboard or newspaper, whatever you have underneath it, the weed barrier, you don't want any of that showing because otherwise it's just gonna wick away any moisture. Okay, that should do it. I'm just gonna use the rest of my water to give it a really good watering and encourage that new root growth. Here's the end result. Happy growing, little guy. We're all done. Our fig plant now has a happy new home, and I'm hoping that it's going to spread out and it will encourage new growth. That's all I have for today, and I will see you all again soon.